This PowerPoint introduces the Spanish dialect in the different regions in the world, its historical background throughout time and pronunciation. In some regions in the world, like Belize, Spanish is the first language for some, while for others it's their second language. On the other hand, Belizean Spanish is spoken by Belizeans born mestizos or Belizeans born citizens of pure Spanish blood. Belizeans of Guatemala, Belizeans of Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, and El Salvador all speak Spanish. However, they speak different dialects of Spanish. Since they grew up in Belize, they all adopted to the local accent.
Spanish is one of the most important languages in the world, and around 400 million people speak Spanish. So, I will be giving a brief history of the Spanish language and its origin. So, we can call Latin the father and the mother of Spanish because the Romans ruled Europe, and Latin was the language of the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula was divided by Spain, Portugal, and the south part of France. But eventually the Roman Empire fell in the 5th century, and different dialects of Latin evolved and became the Romance languages, such as Italian, French, Romanian, Portuguese, and Catalan. Latin has a great influence on Spanish. Then, in the 18th century, the Moors invaded Spain and introduced Arabic, and around 4,000 words in Spanish dictionaries come from Arabic. Some examples would be almohada and aceite, which is pillow and oil. Then, over 700 years of power struggle between the Muslims and the Christians, the King Alfonso, also known as El Sabio, the 10th, made Castellan, a formal dialect of Spanish, be used for official documents. So Castellan originated after the decline of the Roman Empire as a continuation of the spoken Latin in several areas of northern and central Spain. So from here on, the Castellan language became the official language of Spain and also for the documents they used. The geographical boundaries of the Spanish language have moved from Spain to the Americas, with 21 countries having Spanish as their official language. Some of these countries would be such as Puerto Rico, Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala, and so on. There are currently 6 dialects of Spanish, such as the Castilian Spanish, the Andalusian, the Rio Platense, the Caribbean Spanish, the Andine, the Mexico/Central American Spanish. So the Argentina Spanish dialect, which is the Rio Platense, also known as the Rio Platense Castellan. It is a variety of Spanish spoken mainly in the Rio de la Plata, Argentina, and Uruguay. So this Spanish dialect is spoken on a region inside the country of Argentina and parts of Uruguay. Then there is the Chilean Spanish, and this has several varieties of Spanish spoken in most of Chile. Chilean Spanish dialects have distinctive pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary, also along with the slangs they use.
Here is a map showing regions of Spain at that time that they were spoken in the old time. This is a map of the world showing the regions where Spanish is spoken in this new era. The various regions and the type of Spanish that they speak.
Syntax structure in English. English is a language that has a structure known as SVO. Subject, verb, object. For example, the cat washes its paw. The cat is the subject, washes is the verb, and its paw is the object. Spanish sentence structure is almost the same as the English language structuring. For example, take the interpretation of the cat washes its paw in Spanish. It's el gato lava su pata. El gato is the subject, lava is the verb, and su pata is the object. The only difference between Spanish and English structure is that unlike English, which you can only explain or state something only one way, the word order in Spanish is much more flexible than in English. The word order of Spanish sentence is basic as subject, verb, and then the rest of the sentence. Morphology is the study of morphemes. A morpheme is defined as the smallest unit meaning in a language. All words, since they have meaning, have at least one morpheme, but a word can have several morphemes. For example, the word cat has just one morpheme, but the word cats had two, as the S denotes plurality. The same thing goes for the Spanish language. The word cat in Spanish is gato, which is singular, but yet when you add an S in the end, it becomes plural, gatos, which is more than one.
Phonology and semantics. Phonology is a branch of linguistics which studies how languages group sounds together. Semantics is the linguistic and phonological study of meaning in language, programming languages, formal logic, and semiotics. Some of the regional varieties of the Spanish language are quite divergent from one another, especially in pronunciation and vocabulary, and less so in grammar. So, phonology and semantics play a big role in the Spanish language. For example, if we have a Spanish speaker from Spain and a Spanish speaker from Belize, both of them are talking with one another. And the Castilian, the one from Spain, says a sentence in Spanish, like, for example, mi corazón. And the Spanish speaker from Belize might find it funny the way he said it with his accent, although it's correct. But us Belizeans will find it quite funny because the way we say it is just mi corazón. So there is a difference with the corazón and the corazón. They stress and they have the tilde, which is the little mark at the top of the word corazón, and while we Belizeans, we don't stress on that. So that's a difference that they have, and phonology and semiotics really play a major role in that. When we are writing, then we follow the rule, but when we are speaking, like here in Belize, we don't say like how we write it with the tilde.
All Spanish consonants follow strict rules for the sounds they make, and there are a few exceptions. The sound a consonant makes only changes when it's combined with certain consonants and vowels, and even this is fairly straightforward. Spanish vowels are pronounced the same every single time, which is in parentheses a, e, I, o, u. In Belize, we have a variety of Spanish speakers that have a Spanish accent to it. For example, the San Ignacio Spanish speakers versus the Northern Spanish speakers. The sound pronunciations are very different. It is said that northern people of Belize adopt the Spanish accent from the Mexican side due to being closer, while in San Ignacio it is more of the Guatemalan accent Spanish pronunciation that they will be speaking. Therefore, when a person who lives in Corozal speaks to one from San Ignacio, they find it hard to understand some words. Here in Belize, there are a lot of Spanish sayings that are similar to some that are used by people of other Spanish-speaking countries. For example, pero que ladra no muerde, no tener pelos en la lengua, tirar la casa por la ventana, and many more.
In conclusion, we have learned about the regional Spanish throughout the world and have examined the different phrases, words, and the use of neutral Spanish in global communication. Therefore, this PowerPoint we have identified the Spanish language in history and origin, geographical boundaries in the world where the language is being spoken, English being Belize's first language and Spanish being its second language, brought awareness to the many ways Spanish speaker adapt to the pronunciation of different words and how they communicate with one another of their own community. And what is also mind-blowing is that here in our country we have a lot of Spanish speakers that have different pronunciation and accent to the how they speak Spanish. Like I have mentioned, the people up in the north, Corozal or in Juac, they have adopted more of the Mexican side of the Spanish, while here in the west, the Cayo region, then it's more of the Guatemalan side of Spanish. So it's the way that two different from two different places, that the way they say something or they pronounce something, it's different. So that's one of the things that we found out in our research. And also the fact that English is our first language and Spanish being our second language, but there are English speakers who can speak better Spanish than some Spanish speakers, and there are Spanish speakers who can speak English better than as English speaking person. So it depends on the environment and their background that they grow up. That's one of the things that we also found out. This is the end of our presentation. Thanks for watching.